reach for the sky, boy.
Let me tell y'all why we don't like Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. You see, the majority of pro wrestling fans look at tag teams from Monday night. You know, they put them up on this pedestal just because they was on Monday Night Raw. Briscoe's ain't never been on there. They must be down here. World's greatest tag team, hooray! Monday Night Raw, my ass. That's the #1 reason why we don't like Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, because people, the average wrestling fan, the majority of wrestling fans, not all of them, but the majority of wrestling fans put them above the Briscoes by default. Now let me tell y'all a story. About 2 years ago, about 2 years, was it? Two and a half years ago, we had a little trial match for WWE. It was before a SmackDown taping in Philadelphia. We went in there, had a little tryout, you know, did our thing, whatever. I guess they was impressed because they invited us down to Florida for a week at their little FCW developmental center.
All expenses paid.
All expenses paid in the Hyatt, chilling. But either way, we was down there, you know, had a little trial. We was down there for a week. I thought things went good.
And that's what they said too.
We thought it went real good down there. Then everybody was telling us, yeah, y'all doing real good. Y'all might get these contracts. This was 2 years ago. I'm just seeing dollar signs. They talking about y'all might get these contracts. So, you know, we're waiting around. We get back home, we waiting. I'm telling all my boys, like, yeah, we did it down there. We getting ready to all be eating. It's gonna be on our tag. We done did it down there, boys. You know, we hype. I'm telling my wife she ain't never gonna have to work again. You know, she can quit bartending. We got this. You know, so we wait, a month go by, another couple months, we get a phone call. Apparently, the Briscoes are not cosmetically pleasing enough for the WWE. That exact words.
Come on now.
Exact words, cosmetically pleasing. Well, excuse me, Mr. John Laurinaitis, I forgot this was a damn beauty contest. Cosmetically pleasing my ass.
Preach, brother.
And the thing that got me, man, the boys down in developmental, I mean, yeah, you got some good ones, of course. Mainly the people from ROH, but the majority of them weren't even really that nice. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, they come right out of modeling school, right off of the Tough Man contest where they show their little muscles and shit. They walk right into developmental, sign a little deal, you know, train in developmental for a few months. The next thing you know, they're on TV, they're millionaires.
Hey, what happened to paying your dues, brother?
What the hell happened to paying your dues?
What happened to paying your dues?
You know, we broke in old school about 12 years ago. For y'all young boys, about 12 years ago, I remember setting up the chairs, setting up the ring before the show, a bullshit indie show that's gonna be about 40 people there, and I'll be hype as a bitch. You remember that, setting up them chairs?
And getting cussed out because we ain't set them up straight enough.
Well, yeah, getting the ring ready and everything, hype, getting ready to wrestle in front of 40 people. Y'all have no idea what that's like. Y'all can't even relate to that. Back in the day, coming up through the indies, grinding your way up. But no, we're not cosmetically pleasing enough to get paid. I guess that's what they're trying to tell us. That's what they're trying to tell us. Charlie Haas, I guess you spent a couple weeks on the indies, grinding your way through. Shit, Shelton Benjamin, you the main kind of type of dude we talking about.
How many rings you done set up now, Shelton?
How many rings you set up, Shelton?
How many rows of chairs you done put out there, Shelton?
If Final Battle, if this show, Friday Night Final Battle, depended on Shelton Benjamin setting up the ring and setting up all the chairs, it wouldn't be no show. It won't be no damn show because he don't know what the hell he doing. He ain't paid his damn dues in my book. In our book, he ain't paid his dues. Go Fight Live people be sitting there like,
man, I don't know.
I don't know. They don't know what the hell to do. If Shelton Benjamin, if we depended on that bitch to get this show ready. But see, that's what you do as a pro wrestler. As a pro wrestler, that's what the hell you do. But y'all can't relate to that. Y'all millionaires, man. We get up every single day, go to work, support the kids, support the wife. Every single day, man. We don't get sit down on the beach in Tampa, hold our balls, get a suntan, and then do a little show. Next thing you know, we called up, we millionaires, and they like that for us. We're not cosmetically pleasing enough for that shit. Y'all had no idea, man. Looking at foreclosures and shit. I'm getting ready to get foreclosed on. At least that's what they say, but I'm gonna make it through. Trust me, I'm a grinder, baby.
You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about though. You ain't got to worry about that though. Big money. You know, you need a little knee surgery. You spring your pinky finger or something. That's on Vinnie Mac to have.
Yeah, Vinnie covered that.
Shoot, I'm still paying off my bills from Detroit. Look it up.
Yeah, Detroit. WrestleMania weekend, a few years back. Look that up. Look that up.
You paying that for the rest of my life.
Hey, but that's all right. Hey, back to the topic though. Shelton Benjamin, you got an easy ride, boy. In our eyes, that's why your ribs taped up. Charlie Haas, you ain't much better either. That's why your ribs taped up, Shelton Benjamin, on some David Otunga shit. Jennifer Hudson, my ass. You look better when you was fat, bitch. Shit. But back to the topic. This Friday night, you can look at it however you want to. You can look at it as WWE versus ROH. You can look at it as sports entertainment versus pro wrestling. You can look at it as complacent, satisfied rich people versus hungry, still coming at your ass, poor people that don't give a shit because we still coming.
It ain't got nothing to lose.
Bottom line is, it's the world's greatest tag team versus them boys. And I don't like to say, I don't like to use the term biggest match of our career, but never in the 12 years that we've been doing this shit have we had so much to prove. The belts don't be nothing. It's gonna be 7 times regardless. Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin. This Friday night, we got to prove a point, boys.
On our top 25 episode for 2022, we briefly mentioned what we called the 4 pillars of Ring of Honor. And this was going to be for the newly reestablished Ring of Honor on ROH Club. It seemed to have everything going for it. We mentioned Claudio, we mentioned Samoa Joe, and then we mentioned Mark and Jay, the Briscoe brothers. Little did we know at time of recording that within a week there would not be any Briscoe brothers when Ring of Honor would come back to the ROH Club, because unfortunately on January 17th, Jay Briscoe, the older of the Briscoe brothers, passed away in a tragic car accident involving another driver as well as his 2 daughters. At time of recording, one daughter has serious injuries, and then the other one was going in for surgery, seemed like on her back, in hopes that she'd be able to walk again. Not really the news that we'd been accustomed to within the past couple months. It seemed like wrestling had it almost gone off the rails. Sure, there'd been a couple of pro wrestling deaths, but they were ones where the superstar was older. It's never really anyone's time to go, but once they've lived a life like an Antonio Inoki, where they've been in government, they've been at the Mecca, not much more you can do. But I think even though he'd wrestled for, I believe it's 22 years, Jay Briscoe had a lot more to give to the industry, especially an industry that was more accepting of an independent and tag team style. And I definitely think this leaves a hole in the tag division. Sure, you've got the Usos and the New Day over in WWE. You've still got the Young Bucks. You've got FTR. But the Briscoes were the tag team of the Indies. They took on all challengers. And it was one of those good tag teams that didn't have to just stay together. They could go do their own thing, come back together, still be a team. Not only a blow for wrestling, but as I mentioned, Ring of Honor itself. I mean, in your opinion, what should they do at this point? I mean, they'd been with Ring of Honor for... I'm trying to think. damn near 20 years of their 22 years. So they're almost the sting of the promotion.
Right.
They either didn't go anywhere else or they'd come back. And at the time of his passing, he was the tag team champion. And like I said, this isn't just for Ring of Honor. This is for a relaunching of Ring of Honor.
What I think should be done at this point in regards to the tag team championships, I think the best way to do it and to honor Jay would be do some sort of Jay Briscoe Memorial Tournament. I would say that's just my first guess, and I feel like that'd be the best way to handle it because you just want to obviously just strip it from them, and FTR's we're just handing somebody the belt now. Once Ring of Honor gets relaunched, I think getting some of the best tag teams in the world, not just from the Ring of Honor and AEW roster, just from anywhere in the world. From promotions that will obviously allow them to show up and participate in it. Obviously, I don't think the New Day or the Usos would be able to go, but yeah, I think that'd be the best way to do it, and it'd be a great way to honor them too.
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. I mean, like I said, they've wrestled for so long that, Jay was on the first Ring of Honor show. Mark actually managed him to the ring because of Philadelphia's child labor law. But over the years, they've feuded with AJ Styles and Amazing Red, CM Punk and Colt Cabana, Seth Rollins and Jimmy Jacobs. Then you've got the Kings of Wrestling and Chris Hero and Claudio, the American Wolves, the world's greatest tag team. They feuded with Matt Hardy when he was having his return to Ring of Honor. The Kingdom, the Young Bucks, as I said. They went to Impact and fought the Good Brothers and Violent by Design recently. They fought a who's who of, independent tag teams. Pretty much if you were in WWE, at one point, you crossed paths with the Briscoes. They even fought a young Nick Gage for them to capture one of their earliest tag team championships. It's gonna be difficult. I've told you before, I think at this point, Mark, I don't see him coming back. I could be wrong.
If I was him, I wouldn't be able to see myself doing it either. Especially since for majority of your 20+ year run, you've been with that one person, your own flesh and blood. I don't see how he can continue on much longer after this.
And even after, even if they weren't tagging, they were still in the same promotion. I don't believe they've ever had a feud. They're one of the few tag teams that didn't really do that. And even if they were doing single stuff, they'd in story and kayfabe watch each other's back. This was ever apparent when Jay was the heavyweight champion in Ring of Honor. And that's the other thing. A lot of people are questioning online if Mark is going to get a pity title reign. Kerry Von Erich won it when David passed. Rey Mysterio won it when Eddie passed. That kind of thing. But Jay had already won two heavyweight championships. And I know that Kerry won it because David was supposed to win it, and Ray won it because Eddie was going to win it. I don't really think you need to give Mark a pity heavyweight title.
I don't think he's the one to accept it much either. Or
no, they were always. I don't want to say redneck. They were always, they're farmers at heart. The reason they're down home guys. The reason they didn't go to WWE is because they didn't want to leave their farm. They wanted to stay and help with it. They always, from everything you saw on Twitter, they were the nicest guys in the locker room. They were the first to help you out. They were the first to shake your hand. Kevin Owens described his first match against him, and it was one of his earliest matches, if not his first. He asked Jay, what are we going to do out there? And to paraphrase, Jay said, we're going to give him some good shit. And that's what you got from everyone. I mean, you had, like I said, your Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Kenny King, both of FTR, non-wrestlers like Kerry Silken, who, ran Ring of Honor for some time. Triple H and Shawn Michaels even both had tributes. That shows the range that the Briscoes had in wrestling. And the fact that they both said something.
Jay also had great reach in his community. I don't know if you saw, but the local school district that he's from canceled school.
Really?
Today, I believe, because of it. Because I think he's like the head football coach for one of the teams. I don't know exactly which one, so I'm not going to say something wrong, but I know he was part of the community, part of the school. His wife is an elected school board member.
Wow.
As well as I think she is a secretary at one of the high schools, I believe, as well. So everybody in that community obviously loved him. And it's sad that AEW was not able to put on a tribute show for him live on TBS.
I mean,
which is sad, and it is fully Warner Brothers' fault, because right now while we're recording, they were taping a tribute show for him that's only gonna be able to air on Honor Club. So they can't do it for Rampage or Dynamite. Can't do nothing. All they got was a picture at the beginning of the show, and that's it. Just because he tweeted out something in character almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah, and I brought that up to you before the show. I didn't even realize it. So for those that don't know and those that do, 2013 he made a tweet where he threatened to fucking shoot anybody that tries to teach his kids that there's nothing wrong with same-sex marriage. But he did apologize for the comment on Ring of Honor's website and at a house show that same month, explaining the comments were meant to reflect the worldview of Jay Briscoe, the redneck character he plays on TV, and not the views of Jay Pugh, the person behind the character. He also agreed to donate his full pay from the next 2 shows to the Partners Against Hate charitable organization. Now, when the Briscoes were first trying to come to AEW, they couldn't be signed, and you first heard about this, you didn't hear about all of this. You just heard about the comments and that he eventually apologized, and that he re-apologized to try and get on TV. This was the first time that I became aware that he was doing it from the worldview of Jay Briscoe, and the more that you see people talk about him, and I mean, in his community, even his family, when Ring of Honor's off because of COVID, they did videos, and his video was him doing his cheer routine with his daughter, and, a family man, a person of Christ. I mean, it's making me irritated that they couldn't work something out to get him on TV. I mean, especially since it seems like the Ring of Honor, Tony Khan couldn't get it on TV, and he didn't want to put it on YouTube, so it took a long time for this Honor Club to happen. So there was a good, almost 2-year gap where we could have got a lot of Jay Briscoe, a lot of Briscoes, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. They wrestled more Japan. They made a couple appearances for Impact Wrestling, which was kind of cool, seeing them in the ring with America's Most Wanted. And then, they made their few Ring of Honor appearances, their matches with FTR. One of the last big moments, which was last year in March, was that he and Mark were both inducted into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. And then, I mean, as we said, when he passed away, he was the one half of the Tag Team Champions of Ring of Honor, and this was after that amazing dog collar match with FTR. a note on that, I saw on Twitter, there's a gentleman, I wish I would have wrote his name down. He made pins for Greg Valentine and Roddy Piper, their dog collar match. So the two pins are connected by a chain. And he and it seemed not Cash. What's the other one? Dax. Dax and is trying to get it to where he makes FTR and Briscoe ones. And then all the proceeds would go to Jay's family.
His name is Jake. It's at Pollyanna DIY.
Yeah.
So I think his full name is Jake Sposetta. I think.
Okay. I mean, it's a cool thing. Plus, Pro Wrestling Tees is going to donate. I'm sure Tony Khan is going to give something. And with all of the close friends that he had, because, I mean, it seems if you want genuine people in wrestling, you kind of want that group of that early Ring of Honor, Claudio, Seth, Chris Hero, that era. They're going to help his family whenever needed as well, especially because Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are in that group as well. It's definitely a shame, especially in an industry where it seems when people pass away, it's because of, drug use, suicide, alcoholism, and then, his was because of a traffic collision, which means some notes have came out about it, not all of them yet. I know you mentioned it, I saw it as well. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So I'll just say shame on him. I'm not going to be like some of the people on Twitter who are going on tirades about it. Those same people who are calling him a homophobe, the same people who are calling him a hick. The ones that are just trying to, be cool on the internet.
Right. It sounds like even if he was wearing a seatbelt, obviously he should have been wearing one. You should wear one when you're driving. The other driver was also wearing a seatbelt. And she did not make it. It sounds like it was just unfortunately, a brutal thing. But if there's any lesson to learn, wear your seatbelt. Pay attention while you're driving. Who knows?
There'll be, like I said, there'll be more to come. But I mean, and like I said, that the Briscoes were not only one of the top tag teams for years. A lot of people have pointed out how even when they first started, they were better than a lot of the Ring of Honor locker room. So imagine how much better you're going to get after 20 years, really getting to put into your character, learning more moves, fighting better people. They made their first appearances as the Briscoes, Combat Zone Wrestling. They actually fought renowned indie guy Trent Acid in their first match. While in CTW, they fought Nick Mondo, Justice Payne, who was the real life brother of Nick Gage. As I mentioned, they fought Nick Gage and Nick Hatred, a tag team match. Fun fact about this, which I learned on Twitter recently, they both wore masks and were identified as the Midnight Outlaws because Jay was only 17 and Mark was only 16. But of course, they're in the state of Pennsylvania, so where else would they get to skirt around the rules? It was also this team of Nick Gage and Nick Hatred that they beat to get their first tag team titles. They jumped around the Indies, more in the Pennsylvania, Jersey area. Jay did debut, like I said, on the first Ring of Honor card, losing to the Amazing Red, who of course is one of the top indie guys, helped redefine the X division in the light heavyweight style. The next 4 shows, he fought Brian Kendrick, Tony Mamaluke, Doug Williams, and James Maritato, who is Nuncio. So you figure just those 4 there, you got 4 of the better cruiserweights all different styles. He was trusted to go in with them at 18. Mark came into the fold, and one of their first big feuds was with AJ Styles and Amazing Red, the holders of the Ring of Honor tag titles. Then, I mean, they would have the career with Ring of Honor. At one point, they were aligned with Jim Cornette, which strangely enough fits since they were, the redneck characters. They would feud with Samoa Joe, as Samoa Joe would have different partners, ranging from Styles, Danielson, and Jerry Lynn. They would feud more with, CM Punk and Colt Cabana, who they did drop the titles to. They had 13 reigns as Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. This wasn't the only gold that Jay held. As I said, he was a 2-time heavyweight champion in Ring of Honor, something that very few people have done for the company. Again, about a 20-year company. While also there, they were the Ring of Honor 6-man champions with Bully Ray in what seemed like a match made in heaven. The Briscoes more than likely would have been Dudleys in another life. While in Ring of Honor, got Tag Team of the Year with his brother Mark. Not only in 2021, not only in 2019, but all the way back in 2007. I dare you to try and find a team or a single superstar to win blank of the year 10 years apart like that. That shows they're at the top of their game, and Ring of Honor is always regarded as some of the best wrestling in the world. They were at the top of their game for the entirety of their career. They even had Feud of the Year with the Gorillas of Destiny, which is Tama Tonga Loa of the Bullet Club. They ended their time in Ring of Honor as the tag team champions and, as I said, one in the Hall of Fame. But then they also, before that, would have great matches with War Machine, The Addiction, who would become SCU, the All Night Express, like I said, the Young Bucks, Motor City Machine Guns, and just like that, they would appear in Impact Wrestling. As I said, fight the Good Brothers, Violent by Design. They actually won the Impact World Tag Team titles. This was, of course, 2002. Before that, in 2019, they would become the IWGP Tag Team Champions. So just like the Dudleys before them, every promotion that they went to, they won the tag team gold. And I think the comparison to the Dudleys is fair because the Dudleys were always compared to the Steiners and the Road Warriors. Wherever they went, they dominated. Maybe in different fashions, since the Road Warriors would squash, the Steiners would stretch, and the Dudleys would just beat your ass. The Briscoes could do all three. And it's a shame we didn't get to really see a dream match with the Briscoes. I mean, I know when Jeff Jarrett was trying to start Global Force Wrestling, it was the Briscoes and the Dudleys. Unfortunately, as time would have it, these two wouldn't get in the ring together. There's going to be a whole lot of what-ifs now that Jay's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, just this past PWI, when they did the top tag teams, the Usos, the Briscoes, and FTR all, talked their shit on Twitter. I'm glad we got FTR and Briscoes when we did. But this is just one of those things where typically, I would tell you which matches to go watch. But I think it was summed up best on Twitter by multiple people that you can't go wrong with a Jay Briscoe match. And this isn't just at the end of his career. This is his whole career. Back when he was wearing the goofy red and white singlet and beginning as a young 16 to 18-year-old, all the way up to his last dog collar match with FTR. I don't know of a bad Jay Briscoe match.
And I'll say this. For anybody that's listening that has not seen a Jay Briscoe match or not really familiar with his work, on Reddit there was a user, and I will find it and I'll post it in the description of this podcast, that went through and collected all the best matches that were uploaded for free onto YouTube and other various sites, so you can go and watch and just take a day and appreciate the work that he put out for us for the past 20 plus years. So that will be available. I'll put the link to it.
Yeah, and he always it's hard to describe, but I've saw him at multiple Ring of Honor shows. We saw him at StarCast or at the Ric Flair last match, and he always just brought the same enthusiasm, the same energy. And like the Dudleys, they could do goofy, like Mark has his redneck karate, but they can also be serious and have some of the best tag team moves. Again, a lot of what ifs, like what if they had went to WWE? What if their career would have continued? Where would they have ended up? I mean, you figure 20 years in and you're only in your 30s. Who knows how long they could have gone or what kind of knowledge they could have passed on. That's we kind of talked about it, where all the champions in Ring of Honor at the time all had all this knowledge and experience they could pass on. I mean, could you imagine sitting under the learning tree of Joe, the Briscoes, and Claudio?
Yeah.
Now, like we said, we both agree we don't think Mark will do more. I could be wrong. We could be wrong. But it's got to be hard. I mean, at this point, with the money they had, I'm sure if Mark wanted, he could retire to the family farm, make convention appearances if he wanted. But again, you always make those appearances with your brother. What are you going to do now? We've talked before how it was, it's hard for Kevin Nash to travel. He's talked about it. It's hard for him to get up and move. I know recently with the passing of his son, but with the passing of Scott Hall last year, his travel buddy, his best friend, and he called him a brother. I mean, the Briscoes are blood brothers. There's just you're losing a tag team partner, not only in the ring but in life. And I can't predict, or I don't know exactly what would have happened with the Briscoes. I'd like to imagine that they'd eventually be able to get on AEW TV, or maybe they'd leave and end up in the WWE. But regardless, there's going to be a very big hole in the tag team division, especially on the independent scene. And like we said at the beginning of this, hope that there's some sort of tournament to honor him. I would like for the Ring of Honor tag titles to be retired and be replaced with a name like the Briscoe Brothers Championships or something along that lines. There's a lot that companies could do, and this is one of those rare occasions where since he was so well liked and he had so many friends within the industry, that we're going to be seeing a lot of tributes for time to come. Makes me wonder if Kevin Owens is going to start breaking out the pile driver as a tribute, what Sammy could do, what we could see Claudio do, maybe the Kings of Wrestling return if they do the Briscoe tournament. There's just a lot of what ifs, but definitely a jarring start to the year. Losing one of the top tag team performers of all time and one of the top wrestlers in general of this era.